training. We're broadcasting and recording this web conference through Skype meeting broadcast, and the audio can be heard through your PC speakers only. If you do not consent to being part of a recorded session, we ask that you please disconnect your browser at this time. The web conference recording will be available at skypeoperationframework.com WAC Academy within 48 hours. If you have questions for the presenter or need support, please use the Q&A panel located on the right-hand side of your screen. We have posted a few items there already, and we will continue to monitor that throughout the session. Now let's move on to the show. Presenting with us today from Microsoft, we have Turgay, Senior Customer Engineering Architect. Turgay, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Leslie. Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's Skype Academy session on the Skype Operations Framework. Today's sessions will be focused on the client migration. But first of all, let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Turgay Öngün, and I'm a Senior Customer Engineering Architect in the Skype Customer Experience and Deployment team. Our team is part of the Skype for Business product group, and our team is responsible for developing this content as well as applying it to our customers. This session is part of the wider Skype Operations Framework training series. Hopefully, you were able to attend the previous sessions that our team has been delivering for a while. If not, I strongly encourage you to review the recorded trainings on the Skype Academy. But just a very short summary. Through SOF, we are providing guidance to plan, deliver, and operate Skype for Business Online. To learn more, please visit skypeoperationsframework.com. SOF is a living framework, and we continue to work on updating existing assets and delivering new offers. Therefore, feedback is critical to the continued development of SOF. So please let us know what is working and what parts need improvement. The feedback channels are voting enabled. So if you like an idea that has been shared already by someone else, then please vote it on so that we can understand your support on that idea. We also have just launched the new SOF community. Through that community, the SOF team are looking forward to hearing from you on how you are applying SOF guidance to your projects and sharing lessons learned. So please sign up and take part of the community. Quick disclaimer, this is the first delivery for this training. Due to the changing nature of the Skype for Business online service and the SOF itself, we would like to remind you that some of the materials that you see in this training may change or evolve in time. If we have a significant update in the materials, we will be updating the training material as well. Therefore, I encourage you to go to the www.skypeoperationsframework.com website for most recent and up-to-date content. Now, on to today's topic. It is Client Migration Workshop. Although we will have a dedicated time for your questions at the end, please note that you can use the Q&A panel for your questions throughout the session as well. As you can see, the client migration plan activities take place during the design stage of the plan phase. Typically, you need to start working on the client migration planning right after the envisioning and assessment stages are completed. The client migration workshop is intended for project team to discuss the details of the client aspects in any Skype for Business online deployment project. The workshop will focus on clients from a couple of perspectives, which are Windows clients, installation and update options, requirements for the new client, and finally coexistence, deployment, and maintenance strategies that you need to follow. The client migration workshop is quite important. We have seen many deployments would fail without a client management process in place. Clients are the endpoints of the Skype for Business online service. Also remember that now we are focusing on cloud PBX and PSTN conferencing. These are the main elements of the telephony and real-time communication requirements. With Skype for Business Online, we are continuously developing new features. And some of these new features will be dependent on the client side as well. If the clients are not managed or are not running the latest bits, you may not get access to these new features. Also, it's also quite important that you run the same client bits throughout your organization. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for your support teams to troubleshoot any issues. Anyway, the client migration workshop will assist you to reduce this type of risk and support needs. This workshop is structured with 6 different sections that I will be discussing each in a short while. But during the workshop, you need to walk through all of these sections with the project team. But before going into the details, when you go to the Skype Operations Framework.com website and download client migration materials, you will have 3 files. The first one is the activity description document that summarizes the intent and the content of the other assets. Second one is the workshop itself that we are discussing at the moment. And finally, the client migration design template, which is a detailed design guide where all the technical details are documented. Each planning section in this workshop also has a corresponding section in that design guide. This design guide also includes planning tables and checklists, where as you go throughout the workshop, you need to discuss and document the decisions made with the project team. Make sure that when you schedule the client migration workshop, discovery questions must be ready. The discovery questionnaire is one of the core deliverables that are supposed to be created during the SOF assessment stage. Within this questionnaire, you will find answers to many questions that you will use in this workshop. Also, it's very important to have the key stakeholders in the room so that you can deliver the workshop successfully and come up with all the decisions are being made. The first section of the workshop is about the client types. Just a quick reminder here, the client migration workshop is focused on the Windows-based clients only. Okay, while delivering the client migration workshop, you need to start with discussing the different client versions and their capabilities. Although Skype for Business Online supports Link 2010 and above, we strongly recommend using Skype for Business 2016 so that your users have access to all new features. By the way, throughout the session, I will be using these small slides that you see on the right side. These are the screenshots from the actual workshop itself. But instead of digging too much into the technical details presented on those slides, I will be talking about the main talking points for each section. And remember, this session is focused on delivering guidance on how the client migration workshop should be delivered. You need to download and review the workshop content from the SOF website and get familiar with all the technical details beforehand. Anyway, next step is to make sure the project team fully understand the differences between the MSI-based installations and the click-to-run installation. Click-to-run should be the recommended installation method because it has a couple of advantages against the MSI. The first one is it supports slipstreaming of updates when released. It also takes less disk space than the MSI. And finally, it supports user-based licensing. So your users can install and activate 5 copies of the Office programs on their work and personal computers. Finally, make sure that the project team become aware of the platform differences. Important note here, you cannot run 32 and 64-bit versions of the Office on the same computer. Generally, the recommended installation option is the 32-bit because many third-party Office add-ons and some ActiveX controls are built for this architecture. However, in the organization, there might be some users or business units that are using special tools. Those tools might be supported only on 64-bit of the Office. So if this is the case, make sure that you identify those needs during your workshop. After the discussion, you need to update the design template with your findings and the decisions. Basically, you need to come up with a decision for Windows client version to be deployed, installation option that will be used, either MSI or click to run, and finally, whether to deploy 32 or 64-bit of the Office. You need to capture this information into the corresponding table in the design guide. After you have decided on the client versions and the installation method, the next topic for the workshop is how you manage the updates. Remember that click to run is the recommended installation method because it has many advantages over MSI. Important note here, this session and the client migration workshop assume that click to run is the selected method throughout the workshop. And starting with the section, we will be focusing on click to run details. If for any reason you need to continue with a legacy MSI-based installation, you should be using the regular software update tools and mechanisms. Click to run provides some channel mechanism for the update distribution and management. It provides us 3 different channels. The first one is the current channel. The clients that are configured with the current channel gets all the updates every month. The second channel is the deferred channel. By the way, this is the default setting in Office 365. The clients that are configured with the deferred channel, they download and update, apply updates every 4 months. But however, all the security updates are applied monthly. The last one is the first release deferred channel. It provides early access to upcoming features so that you can test those new features on a subset of your users. The main difference between these channels is the update release schedule. We have 3 update categories, and each category is updated on a different schedule. The first category is feature updates that include new features that we develop constantly. Second category is the security updates, which is obvious. And the final category is non-security updates, also known as bug fixes. Please note that those update channels are only applicable to the click to run packages. If you are deploying MSI-based package or any legacy version of the Office, you need to find a way to schedule the distribution of the updates. Those update channels have a clearly defined life cycle, and each channel is transitioned into one another in every 4 months. You need to spend some time on this specific slide within the workshop and make sure that the project team fully understands this life cycle so that you can come up with an exact plan for their update methodology. You may also configure your tenant and allow your users to download software from the Office 365 self-service portal. If this is the case, you can configure which version of Office package will be available for download and how often the users will get those feature updates. Again, you need to update the design template with the decisions taken and capture this information into the relevant table in the design guide. But this time, make sure that you have come up with a decision about the update channels and Office 365 tenant software download settings. Next topic to be discussed in the planning workshop is about the environmental requirements for client rollout. First of all, you need to know about the hardware and software inventory of your environment. The best and easiest way of doing that is to utilize a software distribution and management infrastructure like Configuration Manager, Intune, or any other third-party infrastructure that exists in your environment. If your organization does not have such a management solution, you may want to check the call quality dashboard on your deployment as well. But be aware that as CQD is much more focused on the quality of the calls, therefore the data obtained from the CQD can show you less information than these software management technologies. Also, throughout the workshop, remember to discuss about the hardware and operating system requirements for Office deployment as well. Note that Windows Vista or Windows XP, they are not supported for Office 360, Office 2016. If you have some business units that are using those legacy operating systems, make sure that you create a remediation plan for those computers during the workshop. With click-to-run installation and updates, the client computers need to make some web-based calls to Office 365 services. It is also quite important that the proxy servers and the firewalls in the environment should be configured to grant access to these URLs for all users for all times. Office 365 URLs and the IP address are already documented on our website. But you can also subscribe to the RSS feed that we provide for upcoming updates or changes that may occur in the future. We do also provide an XML file with all the Office 365 endpoint details are listed. You can use this XML file and automate configuration of your firewalls. During the discussions, continue capturing the relevant information into the design guide. Within the section of the workshop, all missing prerequisites for a client deployment should be captured, and the development of the remediation plans should be started already. After you have identified the remediation steps for the missing prerequisites, now it's time to talk about the coexistence scenarios that will affect your migration story. One of the first aspects of the client coexistence scenarios is that MSI and click-to-run cannot be installed on the same computer side by side. This statement is also valid for other Office programs as well, like Visio, MS Project, and OneDrive for Business. So if any MSI package is installed, it must be removed for click-to-run installation to be successful. Although coexistence with the legacy version of the Office is supported, it is not a recommended scenario. The reasons behind that are you cannot manage file type associations easily with two versions of the Office installed on the same machine. And switching between different versions of the Office may cause a repair process to start on each startup. So we highly recommend running a single and the latest version of the Office. It's also strongly recommended that for delegation scenarios, both boss and the admins should use the same version of the Office programs. You need to take this into consideration when planning the software deployment. Scheduled meetings. Although meeting migration may sound somehow irrelevant to client version, actually it is. If you are migrating a user to cloud-based PSTN conferencing, then the scheduled meetings need to be updated with the new meeting coordinates. Currently, we provide the meeting migration tool for this purpose. Meeting migration tool, it is a client-side application. It is very much dependent on the client version installed. If your users are using Office or Link 2010 version, then the meeting migration tool will eventually fail. You need to upgrade software for those users to a newer version of Office so that you can support meeting migration tool. By the way, we will be releasing a new feature called Meeting Migration Service very soon. With that service, with the Meeting Migration Service, the conference details are updated automatically as the user is moved from on-premises environment to online without any end-user action required. With this service, the client version dependency will not be an issue anymore, but the service will introduce another requirement. User mailboxes must be hosted on the Exchange Online for this service to work. Again, the same process. Capture your decisions to the coexistence and migration scenarios table on the design guide and proceed with the next section. A deployment strategy section of the workshop, it covers both the actual deployment and the activation scenarios. You can use plenty of tools for deploying Office Click to Run. On the workshop deck, you will find out some links to the collateral materials for detailed configuration and deployment steps. But be careful with the self-service installation option, which is available through the Office 365 portal. This method requires all end users to have administrative privileges on the desktops during the installation. Our recommendation is to use generic software distribution and management solutions for the managed clients and use the self-service portal for the bring your own device scenarios. Activation management needs to be considered as well. The Office package is activated during the installation, and it is kept activated by accessing the cloud-based services on a regular basis. So you need to make sure that the firewalls and the proxy service must be configured to grant access to these services for all times, not only during the installation. It is quite obvious that the client computers will have access to internet to be able to consume Skype for Business online services. But in hybrid scenarios, if you plan to block internet access for some users, those users must be hosted on the on-premises pools, and Office software must be installed with MSI-based packages for those users. Activation on shared computers. Shared desktop scenario might be either based on remote desktop service or actually a shared physical computer. The only difference for this type of usage is that with click to run activation, this scenario doesn't count for the activation limit of 5. I guess there is no need to repeat the process again. I'm sure you have already memorized what you need to do on the design guide. So let's move to the next section. The final topic that you will cover in the workshop is the strategies for Office maintenance. Remember that we already discussed about the update channels for Click to Run. When a new update is released by Microsoft, the time when your desktops will get the update is totally based on this channel configuration. The content location where the updates will be downloaded from can be controlled as well. To preserve bandwidth, you may configure your clients to download those updates from an on-premise location. If you configure the updates to be distributed manually, make sure to download and distribute them to the clients quite often so that you do not miss any important security update that can present a huge security risk for the organization. Client update triggers. Client update is triggered automatically by a scheduled task. This scheduled task is created by default during the click-to-run installation. But users can also trigger the updates from any Office applications manually. And finally, you can use the command line tool to manage the updates as well for integrating with the third-party management solutions. Update settings can be controlled either with a custom XML files or through group policies. Details for the update settings can be found in the workshop PowerPoint deck and also on the design guide that you can download from the website. And you can use these XML file and group policy tricks to create a pilot group where you can automate the download, deployment, testing of the updates before going into the organization-wide distribution. With that section, you will reach to the end of the client migration workshop delivery. Although we suggest you to plan a half-day workshop, depending on the organization size and the complexity, this might be longer than that. And you may need to revisit the same workshop again. Therefore, ask for the discovery questionnaire before the workshop, go through it, and decide how much time is needed for this workshop. So, in a nutshell, this is how the client migration workshop is organized and structured. Clients, being the endpoints to the service, are one of the most critical aspects of the project success. If you do not have a very well-planned client management strategy, then you will most probably end up with lots of client versions in the environment. With such a situation, it will be super hard for the support teams to troubleshoot and reproduce the issues you may face with. And the second takeaway from this session is that click-to-run provides many advantages when it comes to deployment and management. But it requires a different mindset and different approach that can easily be set up with the client migration workshop. With that, I would like to open the floor for your questions. So if you haven't done this already, please use the Q&A section and submit your questions. Okay, I think it's to you, Leslie.
Yes, thank you, Turgay. As Turgay mentioned, we'll be starting Q&A here in just a moment. Quick reminder, to the right of your screen, or if you have a smaller size screen, it could be below your video player. But in the white text box, please enter your questions and then click on send. I'd like to bring your attention to a link in the upper right-hand side of the viewing window that says Survey Link. That's a link to a short survey for this web conference, and we ask that you please take a moment to access that before logging out. We hope you found today's information helpful, and if you have feedback for us today, we'd greatly appreciate it. The survey scores are on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score possible. And now, over to Turgay for questions.
Okay, thank you, Leslie, once again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I do have a question here. Is there a way to, question is there a way to uninstall an update that has been distributed by click-to-run and roll back to a previous version? And the answer is yes, there is. You need to run a multi-step process for rolling back to previous versions. First of all, you need to disable automatic updates for those client computers where you are going to rolling back. And use the same command line tool, which is Office C2R client exe file with the update parameter. But this time, make sure that update to version parameter is set to a previous build. But keep in mind that this rollback process may result in online repair when you try to open an application after the rollback. And also, it's quite important that you shouldn't be forgetting to enable automatic updates later, because otherwise you will probably miss some important security update. It seems we have another question. If we rebuild one of the client computers, will it count towards the activation limit of 5? The answer is no, because the activation process is configured to use some unique IDs, like user ID that software is activated for, and a special client ID, which is unique to the hardware. So you can rebuild the same computer as much as you can without any issues, as long as the same user is going to use the hardware. I think with that, we don't have any question other than these two.
All right, super. Any final words then, Turgay, before I go ahead and wrap things up?
Yeah. So we should be keeping in mind that the clients are the endpoints. The clients are the software that our users will be using all the day for their conferencing and telephony requirements. So we need to keep client version with the most recent builds so that we can enjoy the latest updates Microsoft provide, and also we can run a bug-free environment. Thank you.
All right, super. Thanks, Turgay. The recording from today's presentation will be available on skypeoperationalframework.com WAC Academy. You'll also receive an email 72 hours post-conference with details on where to access it. I'd like to extend a great big thank you to our presenter today, Turgay. Thank you. And thank you, audience, for logging in and joining us. Have a great rest of your day. This concludes today's session. You may now disconnect from the broadcast.